It currently is unusually warm in England, which I'm not complaining about because it is nice, but it's just very, very warm. I've now completed 2 years of my university degree so far, so 2 out of 5 years. Tick. And I'm moving into a different place. I am moving to a different city, so I'm also moving accommodations. And I don't know if you know this, probably if you watch my vlogs, but I've been living in student accommodation for the past 2 years of my life, and it's been an interesting experience, that's for sure. I had a few funny anecdotes about it that I wanted to share with you because it's just ridiculous. So yeah, let's start right into it. I got it all on my phone here, so excuse me for looking at every now and then, but I didn't. I'm unprepared, okay? This is not scripted. This is pure YouTube. Alright, well, I remember that was my first year, and I think it's in one of my vlogs, where in the middle of the night the fire alarm went off, and then we all had to get outside. It was 4 a.m. in the morning, and I was really tired, and then we all went outside. It turned out to be false alarm. We went back inside. 20 minutes later, same thing happened. Fire alarm went off again, and no one knew what was happening, and we had to go outside again. It was freezing cold. I was tired, and I think I stayed up. I think by the time it was 5:15 anyway. I think I stayed up. I think I didn't go back to sleep. Then I ended up having a really bad headache the next day, all of next day, which obviously is lovely if you've got 12 hours of university every day. But yeah, that was lovely. There was 7 people of us in a flat, and we all had our own rooms, but we shared a kitchen and 2 bathrooms, essentially. There was one time where I got up in the morning. I was usually the one to get up first in the morning, and I was usually the one to go to sleep the latest in the evening because medical students just don't need sleep. And I remember one day when I got up, went into the kitchen to make myself a cup of tea. At first I didn't realise, but it was like we had a kitchen counter here, and then the dining table in the middle of the room, and then next to the dining table, a bit lower down, was like a couch. And I didn't realise that someone was asleep there. And it was a guy, and I made my tea, you know. It was a bit noisy because, yeah, kitchen, no one could hear me anyway, so, you know, what's the point in being really quiet? And then I turned around with my cup of tea in my hand and was like, what the actual fuck? He didn't notice me, and then I was like, okay, I don't know this guy, this is creepy. And I decided, in hindsight, it probably wasn't the best idea, because you never know what you get with people. I mean, he seemed like a student, but again, you never know. I woke him up and I was like, sorry, who are you? He was really confused, really, really confused. And then one of my flatmates came into the kitchen, and I was like, do you know him? And she was like, nope, never seen him before. And then we essentially, he was okay. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know how he came here. I forgot his name, but he told us his name. And then he ended up getting up and going back home to wherever he lived, which was really weird. And up until today, no one knew what he was doing there. And the same thing happened with a girl about a year later, which was also really weird. But she was really apologetic, and we laughed it off. But yeah, that was lovely. Oh, okay, so in my flat, the whole house used to be an old monastery building kind of thing of a school. But the walls were not very thick. They were, well, you could hear everything, literally everything. And the girl next door to my room had a boyfriend, and has had a boyfriend for all the time that I've been in that city. I could hear everything. I don't think I need to explain any further, but there was one time where my nan and my mum came for a visit to go to a Christmas concert when I was still in the Med University choir. And I don't quite remember what me and my mum did, but we had to go somewhere and we needed a car, and I think we picked up the skeleton that I learned for my bones exam with from another friend of mine. So my nan was like, you know what, you just go there, I'll stay in Mila's room and I'll wait here and I'll just read something. And we were like, are you sure? And she was like, yeah, sure, I just need to chill, blah blah blah. So she stayed in my room and sat on my bed, and I think she read a magazine or something that I gave her. And when me and my mum came back, I could hear a certain noise coming from my neighbour's door, and it was very obvious what that noise was, and I was just like, I think my mum knew what it was, but we just didn't. We chose to not talk about it at all because it was really awkward, and I was just like, Jesus, my nan is in that room. Now my nan's hearing is not the best, but still. Especially because my neighbour next door, when my nan and my mum first arrived, she came out of her room and saw us and said hello, really briefly. So that was really awkward. Why would you do this when other people who are not even in the flat, because obviously we're all there anyway, so me and my flatmates, do you know what I mean? But why would you do it when other people come for a visit? And then another, oh my god, that was such a fail. So you know how you get these little blinds that you can like roll down for the window? And I somehow managed to, I think it's in my vlog, I somehow managed to let it down too far so that you couldn't roll it back up. And the guy who was responsible for all of these things in my student accommodation, he was on holiday at the time, I think, and he came back a week later, just under a week, I think. So I ended up having no light in my room, no natural light for a solid week until he arranged people to come to my room to fix it for me, which was lovely. As if the tiny room wasn't depressing enough, I then also didn't have any light. At Halloween, in my first year, I did a video, which is also on my channel, where I put face paint on me and where I essentially dress up as, what's she called? Essentially dressed up as Harley Quinn for Halloween. And I did that in the common bathroom. And I thought, because that was also the time where I couldn't sleep anyway, where I woke up at 5 AM every day. I was like, I can't really make my flatmates not use the bathroom all day for me to film it, or in the afternoon, do you know what I mean? Because usually we'd all go, well, people would generally have a shower in the afternoon rather than in the morning, because in the morning everybody needs to go into the bathroom, so we couldn't lock it and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, when do I do my video? I'm at university all day, so I could do it in the evening where everybody needs the bathroom, or I could do it before university. Then I thought, I can't do it when everyone else is getting up, because they'd get a heart attack if they walked into the bathroom seeing me dressed up as Harley Quinn, because it looked quite freaky. So I decided to get up very early in the morning. I think I got up at 3 and filmed that video, and then took all the makeup off, and then went to university. So the video, I don't know if anyone of you has seen that, because that was 2 years ago, but it's a good video, you should watch it. But you know, that was made at 3:30 in the morning. I once had a bird fly against my window, and I vlogged it. So I think it was June last year, so not this year, but the first university year, and that was really cool. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, that bird was poor, but it was just cool because I could take him up in my hand, and it was really cute. And I think I named him, but I forgot what I named him. But I vlogged it. It's on my channel somewhere. In my first university year, one of my flatmates nearly burnt the flat down because she was cooking pasta in the kitchen, and she put on the pasta in a pot on the stove, and then, you know, turned the stove on, and she left the flat, and she went to, I think, volleyball or something. So she wasn't home, but she was cooking. And I think another one of my flatmates came home and saw all the smoke in the kitchen, because obviously, you know, once the water is all boiled away and steamed off, it starts burning. So yeah, lovely. And I don't know if you know this, but if you set off the fire alarm and it's actually not a fire, it can be pretty pricey. That was fun. I think she didn't really cook after that in the flat at all. I think she lived off cereal. To be fair, I'm not completely innocent when it comes to burning stuff either, because I managed to burn popcorn in the microwave. I even got a picture of this. That's what the popcorn looked like in the end. You know how you get these little paper bags, and I followed the instructions. I put it in the microwave, set it to I don't know how many minutes, and then I noticed that somehow the microwave was smoking. Not the microwave itself, but the inside. So yeah, I couldn't even touch the bag. It was really, really hot. and it was like full on burning inside, like not full on flames, but it was like you could see it burning in the bag essentially. I didn't know what to do, so I filled it up. Well, I poured it out on the windowsill, outside of the windowsill, because obviously we're in the second floor, so I couldn't have run down. And the whole kitchen was smoky as well, so I was like, please don't set off the fire alarm. Now that I think of, many of these stories are somehow related to setting off the fire alarm. Anyway, I poured water over it, which essentially, yeah, made the fire go out. I remember one time coming home in the evening from university, and we stayed in the library for a bit longer, so I was coming home at like 9ish, 10 p.m. There was a guy down by the main entrance, and he clearly was a bit high, which is odd, but you know, happens. And it was creepy, because obviously in order to get in, I had to go past the main entrance. I was like, okay, do you know what? Just walk past him, just be normal, just don't look at him if you don't want to, blah blah blah. And then I got my keys out and tried to open the door, and he was sat outside of the door, and he was like looking at me like that. And he was like, hello. And I was like, hi. And he was like, do you live here? And I was like, yeah, that's why I have a key to this house. And he was like, okay, what's your name? And then I told him my name, which probably in hindsight wasn't the cleverest thing to do, but you know. And yeah, and he was like, nice to meet you. Looking at me like that all the time. And I was a bit like, and then I think he started rambling some stuff. And I think I just left and I ran upstairs. And then I used to have a little name sign on my actual room door, and I took that off because I was like, I don't want that guy to know where I live in case he comes into the house. And he actually turned out to be a student who lived in the house as well, because I saw him twice after that. Oh, another fire alarm story. I had my final pharmacology exam. I think that was at around 4 on that day, and I remember being really like stressed out because that was before Easter and I just had my first big pathology exam, and you know, didn't really have much time to revise and was a bit stressed out, so I crammed everything in hoping to somehow pass this exam, which I did anyway. But you know, I said to myself, your exam's at 4, be there 15 minutes before, leave about half an hour before that, and then until then you can revise. So I did, and I think just over an hour before I would have been supposed to leave, the fire alarm in my student accommodation went off, and I was still revising, and I was like, that can't be happening right now. So I took all my, you know, the fire alarm is really uncomfortable noise to hear. I got all my stuff together, grabbed my laptop, and was like, okay, what are we gonna do now? So yeah, grabbed all my stuff, went outside and continued revision outside while all the others were waiting outside of the house for the firefighters to come and, you know, solve the issue, essentially. It turned out to be a fake alarm again. No, oh my god, that was not a fake alarm. That was because on that very day there was a party going on in my accommodation thing, and they tested, like a machine where you can what's it called, a fog machine? Is it called a fog machine? I don't know. They tested that inside, in the room, so not even in the party room where I don't think there is that many fire alarms, but they tested it in one of the guys' rooms. And I was just like, you know, you're in an exam situation anyway, you are nervous, you're completely overworked, you're burnt out, and then that happens about an hour before you have your final pharmacology exam. But yeah, all in all, it was a nice student accommodation, good for 2 years. I don't know if I would have stayed longer, to be fair. Don't know if I would have done the 3rd year, but for 2 years it was alright. That's what it looks like. And that's what everybody thought it would look like, because when you enter, it's in a park, and when you go in the park with a car on your bike or whatever, that's the building that you first see. And everybody always was like, oh my god, that's such a nice building, you live in such a nice house. And I was like, nope, it's the grey block behind that. But no, it was alright. And yeah, hope you enjoyed that video. Sorry that it's been a bit longer than usual. So yeah, see you guys soon, and have a great day. Bye!